I wasn't supposed to be out that night. I'd finished work late, the streets were damp from an early drizzle, and the cold air carried that kind of quiet that feels wrong, like something was waiting. But I had one last thing to do: pick up a pumpkin. My sister insisted on carving one for the family get-together. A real one, she said. Not those cheap plastic things. So I drove to the store. The parking lot was half empty, lights flickering over rows of cars. Inside, the aisles were nearly stripped bare, just a mess of broken stems, dirt, and soft orange skins that had been picked through all day. The air smelled like rot and dust. Most of what was left were small, bruised pumpkins. But near the bottom of the pile, I saw it. Big. Perfectly round. Smooth and clean, like it hadn't even touched the ground. I crouched and lifted it out carefully. It was heavier than it looked, the weight digging into my palms. For some reason, I hesitated, staring at it longer than I should have. The thing looked fresh. Too fresh. Then I heard it. A shoe scuffing behind me. When I turned, there was a man standing at the end of the aisle, tall, in a gray hoodie that hung loose over his frame. His face was pale under the fluorescent light, eyes sunken deep, and he wasn't blinking. His gaze was locked on the pumpkin in my hands. He took one step forward. Then another. I saw it first, he said, voice low and flat, like he'd been holding his breath. I just shook my head and held the pumpkin tighter. Sorry, man. This one's mine. The corners of his mouth twitched, but not into a smile. His head tilted, slow and wrong, like something in his neck had cracked halfway. He didn't move closer, just stared, not angry, not sad, just fixed. People pushed carts around us, laughing, grabbing candy, oblivious. It felt like we were in a bubble of silence no one else could hear. Then his hand twitched at his side, like it was ready to grab something. That's when I decided to move. I turned toward the checkout, clutching the pumpkin. Behind me, I heard his breathing, quick and shallow, fast. My chest tightened as I paid, the cashier barely looking up. When I turned to leave, he was gone. Or so I thought. The drive home was quiet. Too quiet. The kind where every red light lasts too long and every shadow looks like someone standing just out of reach. My hands wouldn't stop shaking on the wheel. I tried to laugh it off, just some weird guy who wanted the same pumpkin. No big deal. But when I pulled into my street, I noticed something. The streetlights, they were all off. Every single one. Just blackness. The only light came from my headlights sweeping over cracked pavement and still cars. I parked in front of my house and sat there for a second, engine running. The pumpkin sat on the passenger seat, its smooth skin catching a faint reflection from the dashboard light. I almost didn't want to touch it again. Then movement. Across the street. Someone was standing there. Same height. Same hoodie. He wasn't walking, just watching. The air left my lungs all at once. I blinked, and he was still there, perfectly still, hands in his pockets. I couldn't see his face this time, but I didn't need to. I knew it was him. I got out slowly, pretending not to notice, lifting the pumpkin from the car. My keys rattled in my hand. When I shut the trunk, the sound echoed too loud. I turned toward the house, forcing myself not to look back until I heard a sound that froze me in place. A click. Metal. When I turned, he was holding a gun. Not raised high, just pointed straight, calm, like it was nothing. I lifted the pumpkin out in front of me, voice trembling. Take it, man. Just take it. He started crossing the street. Step by step. His movements were stiff, robotic. The gun didn't shake. His eyes dead, unblinking, never left me. When he got close enough, he reached out and grabbed the pumpkin, holding it against his chest like it was something alive. His lips moved, fast, and whispered. You called me. He muttered, eyes darting down at the pumpkin. You waited. My throat went dry. What? He didn't answer. He just stared at the pumpkin, mumbling louder now, almost crying. Then his head turned toward me. It doesn't like you, he said. His voice cracked, almost childlike. It says you touched it. You shouldn't have. He tilted his head again, listening to something that wasn't there. His finger brushed against the gun's trigger. That was enough. I ran. The world blurred around me. Houses, fences, dark windows all rushing past. I heard his footsteps behind me, steady and trained. I didn't dare look back. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but I kept going until I reached the corner and dove behind a parked car. Silence. Then the soft thud of something rolling on the pavement. The pumpkin. It stopped at my feet. Cracked open, leaking something dark that wasn't just pulp. And from across the street a laugh. Not loud. Not human. Just a rasping, broken sound that rose and fell, echoing through the night like it was crawling out of the ground itself. I didn't look. I just ran again. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust against the window, all of it sounded like footsteps. I locked every door twice, pulled the curtains shut, and sat in the dark with the TV flickering low. My phone was in my hand the entire time, but I couldn't bring myself to call the police. What would I even say? A man followed me because I took his pumpkin, and now it's bleeding on my street? Yeah. That'd go well. By 3 a.m., the adrenaline had finally worn off, replaced by a strange, dull exhaustion. I must have dozed off on the couch, because when I opened my eyes again, sunlight was bleeding through the curtains. For a moment, everything felt normal. Too normal. Then I saw it. Sitting in the middle of my kitchen table. The pumpkin. The same one. Whole again, not cracked, not leaking, perfectly round, its skin smooth and gleaming in the morning light. I froze. My chest went tight, and for a full minute I didn't move. I hadn't brought it inside. I knew that for a fact. I got up slowly, circling the table. The pumpkin was just there. No smell, no dirt, no sign of the dark liquid from last night. But when I leaned closer, I noticed something carved into it. A face. A wide, crooked grin and two hollow eyes, uneven and deep, not cleanly cut like a knife would do, but gouged, like someone had clawed into it. I reached out, trembling, and ran a fingertip along the mouth. The surface was rough, sticky. My finger came away red. Not pumpkin juice. Blood. My stomach turned. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair. It clattered loud enough to break the silence, and that's when I heard the knock at the door. 3 slow knocks. Boom. 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 I didn't move. Then again. Louder this time. Boom. 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 I crept to the window, parting the curtain just enough to see. No one was there. Just the empty street, sunlight crawling over damp pavement. The mailman wasn't around, no cars passing, nothing. But the knocking hadn't come from outside. It had come from the back door. My throat tightened. I turned toward the kitchen. The pumpkin's grin seemed wider now, the corners curling higher than before. The air felt heavy, humid, and somewhere in the walls, I swear I could hear a whisper. A man's voice, low and strained. You shouldn't have taken it. The sound came from behind me. I spun around, nothing. Just my reflection in the microwave, pale and shaking. Then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then went out. I stumbled backward, heart pounding. The air smelled like wet dirt. A cold wind blew through the room even though all the windows were shut. I could hear something moving slow, dragging footsteps across the tile. My hand fumbled for my phone's flashlight. When the beam came on, it hit the pumpkin again. The carved mouth was moving. Not open or shut, it was twitching, the edges pulling like someone was slicing deeper from the inside. And then, from behind it, something began to rise. A hand? Pale, thin, wet fingers curling over the table's edge. Then another. The air filled with that same whisper again, layered now, dozens of voices all speaking at once. You took it, give it back. I backed away, tripping over the fallen chair. The pumpkin's grin split wider, splitting flesh and pulp. Inside it wasn't hollow anymore, it was moving. Like worms twisting beneath the surface. and then, the head lifted out. It was him. The man from the store. Or what was left of him. His skin was slick, his hoodie torn, and his eyes gone. 2 deep black pits dripping with the same dark fluid that had leaked from the pumpkin. His grin was carved, matching the one on the fruit. He stepped forward, slow and heavy, the sound of wet shoes against tile echoing in the dark. "I told you," he rasped. "It doesn't like being taken." I couldn't breathe. I grabbed the nearest thing, a knife from the counter, and swung. It passed straight through him like smoke. He didn't flinch. He just tilted his head again, that same wrong, snapping motion from the store. Then his voice dropped to a whisper. "It shows you now." Before I could move, he reached out and pressed a single finger to my forehead. His hand was cold, burning cold like ice melting into fire. The world around me began to warp, colors twisting, sounds muffling into a dull hum. I fell to my knees, gasping. When I looked up, he was gone. So was the pumpkin. All that remained on the table was a small carving knife, clean, polished, and a note, folded in half. My name was written on it in red. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside, scrawled in the same uneven handwriting, were 5 words. "Carve your smile. Tonight. Alone." That night, I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't leave the house. But as the clock struck midnight, I found myself standing in front of a mirror, the knife in my hand. And for the first time, I realized something that made my blood run cold. The reflection behind me wasn't mine. The house was silent again, but silence didn't mean safety. After what happened the night before, I'd unplugged every lamp, taped the curtains shut, and shoved the knife and the note into a drawer I refused to open. Still, the whisper wouldn't stop. It wasn't a voice anymore, more like a memory repeating itself, half heard every time I blinked. "Carve your smile. Alone." I tried to ignore it, bury myself in something rational. So I went digging. Literally. I started with the pumpkin pile at the store. The clerk recognized me right away. "You were the guy who bought the last one," she said, lowering her voice. "That pumpkin wasn't ours." My pulse skipped. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, eyes darting toward the cameras above the aisle. "We don't sell anything that big. Manager said it just appeared in the bin that morning. We thought another store delivered it by mistake." She slid a folded paper across the counter. A copy of an old newspaper article. "Local farmer found dead in field." Police describe a smile carved from ear to ear. The photo showed a man with the same gray hoodie. Back home, I spread the article on the kitchen table, the same spot where the pumpkin had sat. The page trembled under my fingers. The date was 2 years ago, Halloween night. Cause of death, blood loss. No suspect. I stared at the photo again. Same hollow eyes. Same grin. A chill ran through me. Something wasn't right with the air. The mirror above the sink caught my reflection, but it flickered. Not a trick of light, more like a skipped frame in an old film reel. I leaned closer. My reflection didn't lean with me. It stood still, watching. Then it moved, just a twitch of the head, the same off-angle tilt the man had made. I stumbled back, heart hammering. My reflection didn't move this time, it just smiled. And that's when I noticed the background in the glass wasn't my kitchen anymore. It was a field. Rows of dead vines under a gray sky. My hand shook as I touched the glass. The surface felt cold, wet. The moment my fingertips brushed it, I saw flashes. A barn collapsing in firelight. A figure standing in a circle of pumpkins, whispering. And that same carved grin, painted not on one face but many. I yanked my hand away. The mirror went black for half a second, then normal again, my own pale reflection staring back, terrified. The next morning, I drove out of town. I needed answers, something solid. The address from the article led me down a narrow dirt road lined with frost-bitten trees. No cell signal. No sounds except the crunch of gravel under my tires. The farm was still there, barely. A collapsed barn, a rusted tractor, and in the middle of the field, pumpkins. Hundreds of them, all the same size and shape, lined in perfect rows despite the overgrowth. Each one had the same faint carving, a crooked grin, barely visible until you got close. And in the soil beside them, half buried, lay pieces of glass. Shards of mirrors. I crouched to pick one up. The reflection inside didn't show the field, it showed my kitchen again. My chair. My table. The note drawer. I dropped it immediately. Then I saw movement near the barn. A figure, tall, thin, moving slow. The gray hoodie again. Only this time, the hood was down. His hair was gone, his face pale and scarred where the smile had been carved. He wasn't walking toward me. He was digging. A shallow pit in the dirt, maybe a foot deep. When he noticed me, he didn't run. He just pointed at the hole and said quietly, "It grows where fear is planted." My voice cracked. "What does?" He looked past me, toward the car. The grin. Then he dropped his shovel and stepped back, like he'd said too much. His body began to fade, like mist in sunlight. And where he'd been digging, something was pushing up from the soil. Not a plant. Not roots. A pumpkin. Perfectly round. Perfectly smooth. Fresh. I didn't touch it. I turned and ran, the wind howling behind me like laughter. By the time I reached the car, the field was silent again. When I looked back, the pumpkins were gone. Just empty dirt and one broken mirror glinting in the distance. Back home, I dumped the article and the photo into the trash, wiped every surface clean, tried to pretend the last 48 hours hadn't happened. But that night, when I sat down at my table, there was something new resting beside my coffee cup. A tiny glass shard. And in its reflection, rows of pumpkins, stretching endlessly under a gray sky. And right behind me, in the reflection only, a smile beginning to carve itself across my face.